Hey everybody, so you're here with Helen Reid, and this month we're focusing on exploring our core as part of the Explore the Core challenge for the Raise Foundation. So this is day 2, and we're going to continue to build on our warm-up of finding those core muscles this week, and today we'll do a bit of a yoga-infused core workout. So find yourself in a seated position to start off with. Like we did on day 1, just going to do some gentle warming up of the spine, and then we'll kick in to a little bit of gentle movement, and then we'll speed it up. So it'll be about 15 to 20 minutes, just starting with the hands down by the side. Gently close your eyes, take in 3 nice, slower, deeper breaths, just to come into the moment this morning. And with your next inhalation, lift your hands up, follow it with your gaze, gently open your eyes, drop your shoulders, lean over to the right side, take a breath into the left part of your lungs, into the center on the release, moving over to the left side, and back into the center, repeating 2 more times. One more, right side, inhale, center, release, left side, inhale, center, release. Just gently drop the arms, bring them into a clasp behind your back. So you might want to clasp and intertwine your fingers, lift your chest up, breathe in deeply. And as you release, gently lift your arms over your heads, bringing your forehead down towards your knees, towards the ground. Lifting up, again, extending the chest. Exhaling, releasing, just being gentle with your body this morning. One more time. And releasing. If you have really tight shoulders like I do, so that you won't be able to move them too far over. If you're hyper flexible, you'll be able to lift your shoulders up towards the back of your heads. Lifting up and releasing, gently dropping the hands, coming into a tabletop position. Do a few cat-cows here to warm up our spine. So with the inhalation, dropping the chest in between the hands, lifting up, making sure that your hands have fingers spread directly underneath your shoulders. And as you exhale, you protract your back, start to suck in the core, and repeat 2 more times. And releasing, coming back into that neutral spine. We're just going to take our legs long here and come lay flat onto the mat, taking the arms and the hands off the mat here, coming up onto the fingertips. As we inhale, we're going to lift gently, looking up again. And as we exhale, we release. And with each inhalation and exhalation, we try and get that little bit higher. Lift, again, extending the upper part of our back, suck in the core, and release, and lift, and release. 2 more. I want to put your hands flat on the ground for the last 2. It's coming into more of that Cobra position, wide Cobra. Getting a nice extension through the upper back into the lower back area. And release, putting your hands back onto the mat with your elbows directly underneath your shoulders here. Feet are hip width apart and lifting here. This is our Sphinx pose, trying to push your chest forward. Again, we want to focus on not overextending the lower back here. Rather, we want to start to notice whether we can switch on our core muscles, lift our pelvic floor, and hold. And if you need to, you can come down into a rest, or if you can, from this position, curl your toes under and lift up into a plank. And hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dropping to your knees if you need to and resting, or if you can go on from here. We turn over onto the right elbow, so we move the right arm into a parallel position and coming over onto an elbow plank, having the hips, knees, ankles stacked on top of each other, lifting the arm, gazing up towards the fingers if you can, staying nice and strong in the right side body for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, coming down back into the center and lifting onto the other side, stacking those knees, hips, ankles, holding nice and tall, gazing up, reaching with those fingers. And we've got another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here into the center, back onto your elbow plank. If you need to, drop to those knees. If you can stay nice and strong through that core, squeeze the butts, keep the backs nice and flat, belly nice and tight for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop to the knees and come down into a child's pose. Just dropping the butt towards the heels, relaxing your head for a moment. With the next inhalation, coming back into your tabletop. And pop that heater off if you like. Come back into your tabletop. We're going to lift from our tabletop, so curling the toes under and coming into a downward facing dog. So push your knees back first and then your hips into the air. Walk out your dog. You don't necessarily need to have straight legs here. You want to have high hips, flat back, push your chest through instead of straight legs. So if this is your first practice for the day, might be stiff in the back of the legs. So pedal out left, right, about 10 times each side, just to get a little bit of length into your hamstrings. And then come into a position of stillness, dropping the heels as close to the ground as you can, dropping the chest through your arms. What we'll do is some spinal rolls here. So we're going to lift up onto our tippy toes to start off, and then we'll spinal roll all the way into a plank and hold. And then push your knees back and come back into a downward facing dog and going again. So I'm going to make this flow like waves. Pausing when we get into that plank position for a second, and then pushing back and making it flow like waves in the sea. 10 of these. And if at any point you need to, come down into that child's pose for a rest. Last 3. 2 to go here. Last one, and holding nice and strong into the plank. Here, bring your toes together. Bring your toes together on this plank. Squeeze the butts. Hold there for another 5, 3, 2, 1, and gently lower. You can drop to your knees if you need to. Gently lower, slowly push your chin chest through and coming into that upward position. So you could come into a nice upward cobra if you like. And then tuck your toes under and come back into a downward facing dog. Again, if you need to, pedal out your dog. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Keeping your hands or your fingertips in front of your toes in this forward fold position. Start to curl up. Hang like a rag doll, curling up, vertebrae by vertebrae, until you come into a standing position. So with our next core exercise, we'll do 10 inchworms. So inchworms, so when we drop our hands to the ground, we walk out. But we're going to add a slight variation to these. We're also going to go into a spider climb on these. So when we get to the plank position, we're going to take our right leg, pop it outside our right hand, and then release, and then left outside the left. Like so. So we step it out, all the way out, come into a nice strong plank position, and then step the right foot outside, nice and gently, and then the left foot outside. Okay, and then we walk all the way back up and release. So 9 more of these. Core tight the whole time, coming into that strong plank position. Right foot out, release, left foot out, release. And what's great about adding a spider climb into these is that we can open up that hip area as well. Get some movement into our groins and stretch out our outer hip in this space, which tends to get tight, especially for sitting all day. So keep working through at your own pace. And again, if at any point this becomes too much for you, just drop into a child's pose and rest, and start again when you're ready. Remember to breathe. And whilst this gets your heart rate up a little bit, this isn't necessarily about going quick. Slow is the new go. It helps you become really mindful about every movement that you're making, helps you connect the breath to the body. When we can put breathing into our movement as well, it helps us release all of those tight spots. And last 2, I think. So after you've done a few of these, start to feel that you're getting a little bit of a cardio workout regardless. Step it out. Good. Bringing it up nice and tall. Okay, from this position, we take our arms up. Gaze between the thumbs, drop the shoulders, come into a forward fold. Try and get your tummy towards your thighs. It doesn't matter how bent your knees are here. On your next inhalation, lift up into a halfway lift. So I like to put my hands onto my shins and get a nice long spine. And with the next movement, I'm going to walk my hands back out into that plank position. Go into a vinyasa flow so you can drop your knees, chin chest to the ground. We'll do a chaturanga. Up into a cobra or an upward facing dog. You take your knees off the ground, turn it down into a downward facing dog. Take the right foot forward here. Nice deep lunge, followed by the left foot. Again, come up into a halfway flat back and release. Let it all go. And then lifting your hands up, gazing between the thumbs and bringing your hands into the heart center. We'll stand there so it can be seen on the screen. Okay, take a few deep breaths here before we go into our next core workout. Just notice how you're breathing, how you feel. Notice if your body feels a little bit loose or looser. Okay, taking the hands up again and bringing them down into your forward fold, walking them out. Let's stay in a plank this time. Stay in a plank, and we will go into a series of mountain climbers and downward dog. So we start with the right knee, left knee, 10 reps, right knee, left knee, right knee, left knee, right knee, left knee. So you want 10 on each side. Now, if you can't do 10, do 5 on each side, or start with whatever feels right for you. 2 more here. And last lots. And then from here, bend those knees and lift up into a downward dog. And hold, breathe. We're going to do one of those spinal rolls back into our plank. So up onto the tippy toes, spinal roll over back into the plank. And this time around, we'll do mountain climbers, and we'll do opposite knee, opposite elbow. So right knee to left elbow, left knee to right elbow. Again, 10 reps. Get those knees up nice and high. Last 2, last 1, and push back into a downward facing dog. Drop to the knees and come into a child's pose. Lifting back up, had about a 10-15 second break there. Into your tabletop, back into your downward facing dog. And let's go again. Spinal roll. Straight mountain climbers, 10 reps. Nice and controlled, use your breathing. Belly nice and tight. And then lift back into your downward facing dog. Take 2 deep breaths here. Spinal roll. And let's go into the cross body mountain climbers. Knee up nice and high. Good. Start to feel your core, your belly muscles burning. And lifting back into that downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Drop to the knees. Have a little rest. In child's pose. Lifting back up, getting ready for this third round. Into the tabletop. Turning those toes under, coming up into that downward facing dog. Using the next inhalation to come into that spinal wave over into a plank. Right knee, left knee. Let's go. Third round. Make every single rep county. Make it work for you. Stay nice and strong. If you're feeling the burn, it's great. It's what it's about. Lifting back into your downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Spinal wave back over into your plank. Opposite knee to opposite elbow. So your cross body mountain climbers. Nice and controlled on these ones. Almost there, guys. Keep it going. Come down into your downward facing dog. Take 2 deep breaths here. and release into a child's pose. Having a 30-second break here. And lifting back up, we're going to just come onto our backs for the last exercise. I'm just going to go laterally onto my mats here. So let's start off with our feet about hip width apart, back nice and straight. Now, if you've got hip issues, like I do, you might want to sit on something that helps elevate those hips a little bit, so your pelvis is tilting a little bit more forward. What we're going to do here, and if you need to, and come up onto our tippy toes, coming up onto our tippy toes, really crunching the center of our body, our core. If you need to, you use your hands for a little bit of support. I'm going to take our tippy toes 3 inches off the ground. Try not to collapse. Stay nice and tall. And if you can, release those arms and balance. Switch on that core. Feel it crunch. Create that tightness in the middle part of your body and hold for another 5 here. Last 3, 2, 1. And you can release gently. Now you might feel your quads and your hip flexors firing up here. We'll go again. In 2, 1. Go to where you can. We want to lift. You can balance yourself first before you release. Let's try and hold this for that extra 5 seconds. So we started with 10 seconds. Let's go up to 15 and hold and release. Your feet, you might want to put your head on your forehead on your knees here for a little bit of a rest. Got a 5-second breather here, and we'll go for a 20-second round. Ready? And lift. Stabilize yourself first and foremost. Holding for another 10. You can do this. Core nice and tight, really trying to open up that chest and lift it forward without losing the balance too much there. Let's hold for another 5, 3, 2, 1. Popping the feet down gently. Head onto the knees. We'll do one little more core work for those that are keen today, for just a little bit of fun. So we'll come down flat onto our backs. Come down flat onto our backs. Now, if you need to, pop your hands underneath your bum for stabilization. Okay, we're going to lift one leg up, the other leg up. Now, if you're feeling tight here, that's fine. Bend the knees. Okay, so we're going to start with taking the feet, probably, I don't know, shoulder width apart there. And we'll tap right hand to the left ankle, to the left part of the leg, and then left hand to the right side. Doesn't matter where you reach. Go to wherever feels right for you this morning. My quads are particularly tight today. So let's do another 5. So they're screaming at me. We're trying to switch those off and really focus on the belly. Last 2, 1, and bring the knees into the chest. Take the legs out long. Again, hands underneath the bum if you need a little bit of stability. Keep the feet 3 to 6 inches off the ground and hold. Belly tight. And release. Knees into chest. Let's repeat one more last round. I'm going to keep my knees bent on this turn. So I'll take my knees out above my hips so you can take your legs up high. Okay, and we're reaching right hand to left ankle. Ready and reach. Let's go. Trying to get those shoulders off the ground. Really engage the core here. We've got 10 on each side. And if that doesn't work for you, let's go for 5 on each side. Last 2 for me here. And bring the knees into the chest. When you're done, pushing those legs back out to about 6 inches off the ground and hold. Got a 10-second hold here, belly nice and tight. Squeeze for 3, 2, 1. Release knees into the chest. Gently drop to one side just to release the pressure on the spine. You can take the hands out, the arm out long and gaze over the shoulder. Coming back into the center and releasing onto the other side. Coming back into the center, taking the legs out nice and long onto the ground, nice and gently. You can take a few moments here to relax in a Shavasana. Feel the effects of this workout on your body. And when you're ready, you might want to use your core strength to come up into an easy seated position, or you can turn onto one side, and I'll turn towards the camera. So bend your knees, turn onto one side. When you're ready, gently lift yourself up. Come into a seated position here. Taking a few deep breaths in here. And allowing your body here to feel good with your practice today. Thank you for joining us. We'll be continuing this for the next 27 days with a workout every single morning as we explore the core challenge. If you want to join our team, jump on the bandwagon. We have a team. I'll post details below. Or if you'd like to make a small donation to help with our fundraising, please do so as well. Thank you very much. Thank you to Whitney, who's also jumped on with us to enjoy this practice.